weren't really going.
No, we're going. So you're not supposed to talk during the intro.
Dave, bring the fucking intro. I don't know why you keep saying that.
The intro's going on right now.
Fucking intro. I'm not
The
talking
intro
during
is
the
going
fucking
on.
intro. It's annoying. So here's the intro.
No, that was the intro. Welcome to Jeremiah Creek. We're having a subdued discussion today. Subdued. Our voices are subdued. So this is Jeremiah Creek. I'm David Haynes. That's Bull Garlington.
ASMR edition.
Subscribe button right over there. It's right there. It's right. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that little bell so that you get all of our uploads because we're going to be doing a lot more. Although this is our last one in the same room for a little while. Yeah, because I am moving to Tennessee.
I'm on the one hand, I'm obligated to say I'm very happy for you. On the other hand, I don't fucking like it.
I was.
I got to be honest with you.
This says something about. I think this says something about me, in that I have. I've had. I've been helping out a buddy of mine doing some part-time work. We did the show at the Safe Store, and he just called me when I got here, and he's like, "Hey, I just want to check. Are you going down to Tennessee? When are you going down to Tennessee?" I said, "Sunday." I gave you a month's notice. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you're really still going to go. I'm like, really? Is it? I mean, has it gotten to the point where people just can't trust what I?
Oh, fucking shit, man. Does he need someone to mind the store?
Yeah, he does. So I'm going to take my daughter
What
to
does
meet
it
him.
pay? Oh, you get
A little. I'm not going to say it over it. Why? If you're looking for somebody, look for help. She can only do it on Saturdays.
I've got it does not look like it requires much.
No.
And it looks like I could work while I'm doing it.
No, I mean, because these days, 90% of his business is online, and but the company requires a showroom. So I'd get maybe one customer a day most days where people, and probably 3/4 of those people are just coming in to look at what they want to get.
Yeah.
Just so that they can physically see it,
Why they have showrooms.
it makes me understand why they have showrooms. Because a lot of people don't trust what you see on the internet, and then they would still end up like talking to the owner and buying it over.
You guys should sell desktop versions of every one of your safes.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So that people can tell a friend, hey, I got you a safe. Here's a picture of it. And then when they get it, it's just like this. It's big enough for one beer.
It's like take right down a rabbit hole right off the bat. It's like those when you go to a sporting goods store and they have those little models of tens. My wife has always wanted to get one of them. They're the same thing. They're just dollhouse size.
They're perfect. You know what you could do is you get one of those, and wherever you go, you can just set it somewhere, and then take like one of those pictures where everything's kind of blurry, and go camping again, right? And everyone's like, God, Dave, you camp a lot, man. And you're like, yeah, well, look at this tent. Of course I do.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of my friends are. I mean, even family. It's like my sister called me the other day and was like, "So when are you leaving?" We're leaving Sunday. We've been talking about this. And the thing is, we haven't sold our house yet, so it's not like we're going down there forever and never coming back. We're coming back in a month regardless. Even if
what the hurricanes say.
Yeah, for Thanksgiving. But that's the thing. I have to get down there to check on my property. I know I got some damage from the hurricane. So far, it looks not very much, but like. Even to replace my fence, I have to file a claim, either with insurance or FEMA.
Would you know if bears had moved in?
They already had moved in.
I meant into your house.
Oh, yeah, I would know. I have my neighbors checking on it. I got video cameras up. Yeah. But really, everything looks okay. We were out of electricity for a week, so everything in the fridge is gone. But
Ooh.
Yeah, then we're going to clean that out.
Ooh.
And then the tree fell on the fence, so it looks like the fence. But nobody can look at the roof until I get down there. I have to get the drone out and look at the roof and see if there's any dangerous trees that are near the house. it looks like we came through pretty good. We also have to check underneath the house to make sure that nothing shifted or anything. So, I don't know.
Underneath the house.
Yeah,
You have a basement?
no,
Yeah.
crawl space.
Oh, right. Okay.
But nothing, nothing shifted or anything. So I've been wanting to get down. I would have gone down there the week after. As soon as we had electricity, I wanted to go down there, even to help my neighbors,
Yeah.
But we had to wait until this weekend, but we don't have to wait anymore.
See, I wouldn't be like that. I'd just be out there standing on the sidelines watching my neighbor work going, sorry, my bad.
Well, even just donate. We're bringing some stuff to donate, They're asking for stuff like mops and coffee and what else we get? Detergent. They're having a hard time getting stuff like that down there. The problem is, where we're at is on the edge. We're in East Tennessee. So the worst
Edge of East Tennessee.
the worst damage was in western North Carolina, and we live just outside the area where the worst damage
You're
was.
damn close to that.
Yeah,
It's
we're close.
it's when I was down there with you, you and I just drove right over there to visit. It was like no big deal.
Yeah, well, the town we went to, Boone,
They got
they got hurt bad. Not as bad as Asheville, which is about 2 hours away from us, but so we're out the edge. Now, here's the thing: like Asheville, their grocery stores were basically destroyed, so they don't have that. They don't have any.
Stores, gas stations,
Yeah, and
bodegas.
and so when you there's a ripple effect when you have these weather situations, and so people who live halfway between us and Asheville are now coming towards us to buy all the stuff. So you have there's shortages of basically everything, not because of the hurricane, but because of the people coming back in and needing all this stuff. So
I think the great tragedy in Asheville, and this is my personal opinion and what I've found from reading in forums online and watching videos, is the loss of the wind chime store.
the wind chime store,
I mean, it
sounded nice when it went down, though.
I mean, it was pretty. It was pretty for a moment, And then
there was a guy on the news who they were interviewing him. He had opened a coffee shop, I think 30 days before the hurricane. I think it was a coffee shop, some kind of they served coffee, whatever, but it was like a coffee shop. And so they're interviewing this guy, and it was devastating. I mean, it's just showing what the damage, how the floods, the damage. I mean, it was like it was like to the second or third floor. The water was, and he was talking about how it was a pretty long interview. He was going through all this stuff, and so it was pretty devastating. And I'm like, when they were finished, I turned to my wife and I go, I think that was like a sort of a gay coffee shop. And she's like, why would you say that? And I said, I don't know, just listen to the guy talk about it. And she said, she goes, I did not get that from the video. But then she had seen the report earlier, because this was on YouTube, and had looked up the guy, and it was legit. It was billed as a safe space for LGBTQ community, and it was.
I mean, you need that in Asheville.
Well,
all of Asheville is a safe place for our rainbow friends.
Yeah, and she's like, but she goes, they didn't say that in the news. How'd you get that? And I go, I don't know, just listen to the guy. It's what.
Wait a minute. Dave, do you have Gaydar?
You know what? Normally I don't, but let me put it this way: it wasn't like the way he was speaking or anything.
There's a little.
He was talking about.
Using your hand right now. He got this new green hat on, Dave.
It was more the way.
You gay?
This is a Santa Claus hat.
It's green. How is that a Santa Claus hat? Okay, all right.
But it wasn't the way he was talking or his mannerisms. It was the way he was describing the decorations that were on the walls, and I was like, this seems kind of gay. And she's like, she goes, that's amazing. I did not get that at all from there. And then I went and looked at the store, his like About Us page on his, and that's literally what it said.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway,
what would happen if you went in and you go, yeah, can I have some straight coffee, please? I mean, I talk like that. Can I just get a straight cup of coffee? You go, I don't think so. Speaking of which, there's a new coffee shop here in Skokie. There's a lot of new stores in Skokie. Have
Where?
you noticed that?
No.
So there's 2 new places down the street right there where the Robert Stationery used to be is now some sort of sandwich shop.
Really?
And right next to it is a new thing. And then right up here is a new spirits store, Flight Spirits. And next to that is like a collectible store. And then across near the post office on that street, there's like this whole weird like Jamaican coffee house that opened up right there.
Huh. I didn't even notice. Is there a bakery still right down the street here?
As far as I know.
That's like closed down and opened up always as a bakery several times.
You know what? I don't. Was it next to the drapery store?
Yeah.
I think it's gone because there's a place called Flight Spirit there now. You know, and next to that is this collectible place for, I guess, baseball cards and stuff, which I just can't believe there's a storefront for that. But it's kind of like the safe store.
Yeah. People don't want to tell you. They don't necessarily believe what they see.
So what are you going to do when you're down there for to keep you from spending all your money on Amazon for gadgets like lighter that you have right now? I know you said it only costs $15, but I
mean, I got a lot of work to do.
40 of them. So
I got to get rid of that tree in my yard and figure out how to fix the fence, and then I don't know. I got a job interview.
I'm from really.
Yeah.
For what? Yeah, I never knew. You know, this is the first time in our relationship where you've done stuff like this.
Yeah.
Because you're one of my friends that I didn't know when we were looking for work or anything. You know, you've always been the same thing forever.
Yeah.
Now you're going to job interviews and stuff.
Well, it's just basically the same thing, working in a jail. But I'm not sure. It's one of those things where I'm not sure if I want it, but I saw the job listing, so I threw an application in a month ago and it popped up. So I'm going to go talk to them and see what happens. There's
How
that.
far away is it?
10 minutes from my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to take that.
Yeah, well, there's that. There's a few other jobs that pop up every now and then in the county that I might be interested in. We haven't sold our house up here yet, so
Yeah.
it's not like money. It's not like I'm floating in cash. I mean, as long as I have 2 mortgages and a college payment, I'm still living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I mean, we're the same way. And my wife is like a fucking in-house counsel for a giant company, and we're like paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. I mean, it's on the one hand, it's like, all right, it's paycheck to paycheck, but
Well, you've got 2 houses.
I got 2 houses, so you get rid of one,
so-
and then my daughter
Plus, you're
gets
gonna
out
be
of
able to-
college.
You can put up a windmill and maybe grow some marijuana down there in Tennessee.
Well, it's illegal. But
really?
I did think about it, yeah. But it's not going to be for long.
No.
I was just thinking about this. There's still like a few states where it's completely illegal. Tennessee is one of them. But I live 10 minutes from the Virginia border where it is legal. So it's like, and in North Carolina where it's medically still legal.
That's surprising. Of all the places, I think North Carolina would be. You know why it's not legal yet? Because no one has figured out the infrastructure. The moment those dudes figure out, that's what they're doing right now, is figuring out the infrastructure and setting themselves up.
Well, I think a lot of the states, a lot of the states where it's still illegal, I believe, is kind of the conservative states, and it's because the federal government hasn't legalized it. Yeah. And I really believe that the federal government does legalize it, and I think it's going to happen. Even Biden started pushing to take it off the schedule, whatever it is, and downgrade it. And I think you got guys coming in. I mean, I don't know about Harris. Nobody's asked her about where she stands on any of these issues, so I have no idea where she stands. But you got to believe that J.D. Vance, if he becomes vice president, is 40 years old. So, I mean, you got to think.
Judging by what he says lately, I think he's high most of the time. So.
But I think as this younger generation does come up, I mean, things have been getting. Look at it. What is it? 30 states have already legalized it.
Yeah.
And I just think that the other states are eventually going to fall. I just think they're not going to fall until the federal government legalizes it, or at least.
Well, and the thing that the federal government, what the hell?
It's a lawnmower.
Damn. What will also make it great when the federal government legalizes it is actually buying it, because I go to a dispensary for a friend. This friend just can't get out of bed. He's not doing well, and he's like, "Can you get me some dope?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And so I go to the dispensary right over there on Tui. It's an interesting experience.
Wow.
Because like I don't, as you know, I don't smoke pot. I hate pot. I can't stand it. Please legalize it. I don't give a shit about that. But personally, I can't do it. I just can't get high.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea for me to get high. But I go in these dispensaries, and so the first time I went, I got in there, I whipped out my credit card, and the guy's like, "No, we're cash only." I'm like, haven't had any cash for 10 years. The guy goes, "There's an ATM right over there." And I'm like, "Why are you cash only?" He goes, "Because federal government hasn't legalized it. So you can't do credit card transactions when you buy dope."
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So weird.
Well,
You look flabbergasted right now.
No. I was trying to remember. I haven't been in there in the dispensary very much, probably 3 or 4 times since I retired.
Why were you in the dispensary?
Well, when I retired, I gave it a shot. I mean, it has been since fucking high school.
Oh, hold on, man. What did you think?
I don't know. It was the nice afternoon sitting on the couch doing nothing but watching baseball. Whatever.
Yeah, I can't.
It just doesn't get me. I mean, it's relaxing, but
if I ever smoke pot again, it needs to be in a controlled environment with both a therapist and like an ambulance crew, because just shit goes down. It's not good at all. I freak
But
out.
what's interesting is because I have friends that do the gummies for pain, so I've also been there to buy stuff for them. And what's interesting is now you haven't been to anyone except for the one here in Chicago, right?
No, I've been in Portland.
Okay.
Portland, Oregon. I've been there.
When you were in Portland, can you actually see all the weed? Because let me just for anybody who's listening outside of Chicago, when you go into a dispensary in Chicago, you cannot see anything. It's just I mean, except for they have accessories, they have whatever, like as if you were going up to a store and they have the stuff you buy at the end there that
Right. Yeah.
notions
Display only.
Yeah. But the actual good shit is in the back under lock and key. You have to order it from a screen, and then the cashier goes and gets it for you and brings it
It's
out.
in a locked.
Yeah, it's in a lock
room.
container.
No, when I was in Portland, they actually had each type, each strain of marijuana. They had like a mason jar of the buds that you could hold and breathe it and look at them and everything like that. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And when you walk in there, I mean, when I was young, I did smoke pot. It was still not a good idea, but I didn't know that. And so, I mean, my whole life I was kind of like, they should legalize pot, And when it finally happened, I have to admit, I was very curious. I was more curious about the retail aspect of it because I used to work retail. And when I went to this one dispensary in Portland, I was just blown away. It was incredibly well designed. It really was a flagship for how marijuana shops should be. It was like a Barnes & Noble for pot. All right. And the people helping you were amazing. They're like, "How do you want to feel?" I'm like, "No one's ever asked me that before."
So you have that bud tender there?
Yeah, that's pretty good. A biochemist.
But the only other place I've ever gone to one was in Michigan, there at New Buffalo, Michigan.
Huh.
And it's like walking into Costco for weed.
Wow.
Everything's on display.
Yeah.
The different strains are in like tubs, like the if you go in the back in the cigar store where they sell the pipe tobacco in bulk,
Yeah.
and it's like literally the same containers.
Right, like a giant jar.
Yeah, and it's sealed, and then they ask you the same thing. Well, what are you looking at? A lot of times now, though, the one in New Buffalo, there were so many people and so many people working there that the guys behind the counter didn't really seem to know. They weren't like bud tenders like that. They referred you to their website where you can look up. Okay, I want to do
I
this.
bet those
And
guys are like, "I know everything about pot.
Yeah.
Be a pot tender," and then they get there like, "Wait a minute."
there's a lot more to it. And so they, but you can smell everything, you can see everything. It was like weird having been to a Chicago one to then go to the one in Michigan. But
Chicago ones make you feel a little guilty
yeah,
going in there. It's kind of like a porn shop, I guess. I've never been in a porn
me
shop.
neither.
I don't know, but
actually, I used to do undercover buying in porn shops. So
really,
Yeah.
really,
It was a side job when I was younger.
Let's talk about that for a minute there. How did you get this job? Why did they pick you?
It was a security company. It was a security company I did work for, and I
Before or after kids?
after I had kids. I was a police officer, so
Yeah, okay.
this was a side job. And I did security. I would go and sit at sites and stuff like that. And then every once in a while, they'd be like, "Hey, you want to do one of these shopping things?" And it wasn't just porn shops, but I did go to porn shops, and they'd be like, "Here, spend $30." Well, they had was a specific amount they wanted you to spend, and you had to go in there and you had to basically write a report. Who was behind the counter?
Oh, this is like a secret shopper.
Yeah, secret shopper.
So
thing.
you weren't trying to bust anybody.
Only insofar as we had to document that the person behind the counter was the person supposed to be behind the counter, and the amount of money that you spent and you got a receipt was the amount of money that they actually turned in.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
quality control.
It's kind of
You didn't have to use anything.
it's back before webcams. Now they probably don't even do it anymore because
Yeah.
they can camera up the shit out of them. Although I don't know, would they put cameras in dirty bookstores?
Well, I worked in a clean bookstore, and they had cameras.
Yeah, but
I would think you can put I think.
no, I know you can, but I wonder if
Yeah, I think they do.
yeah. So if you go into a porn shop, consider you're on camera,
Yeah, I mean, I just.
and your wife could
camera
probably
all the time.
document it.
Yeah, she like pull reports from all. So you came up 65, huh? You know, I noticed you stopped at this one truck stop, and they have 3 different porn sites. I pulled the camera reports from those,
Yeah.
and you were at every one of them. My wife doesn't sound like that, by the way.
But that's one of the things they said when they. I remember people talking about that when they got the iPass with the paying for your tolls on the online thing.
Yeah.
That it would be used in divorce proceedings. I haven't heard if it actually is, but I remember that argument against it.
I always thought that it was one of the ways they could use it was to bust people for speeding remotely, because if you went to it should
They
take
do
you
that in
so much
Pennsylvania.
time. What's that?
They do that in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, because it should take you so much time from point A to point B that both have cameras, and if you get there before that time, you were speeding.
Yeah, they do that in Pennsylvania.
It's got to be easy to bust in court, though.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I wasn't speeding, but I think you have to exceed a certain thing. But they do say it on because when you go on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, which I've only been on a couple of times, but when you go on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, you get a receipt where you get on, and then you pay one toll when you get off, or when it
They do
ends.
that. They used to do that in Florida before it was
Yeah, now they just
touchless.
and it does. I remember it saying on receipt that if you speed, that they can track based on how far you go, and
So what you need to do is speed and then get there and wait.
yeah, or speed and pull over and get there and wait. But but I mean, there's no way I wasn't speeding and I didn't get a ticket. So maybe it's only for really egregious.
I can't believe that night I drove myself to the emergency room. I ran at least 5 red lights, and I know there's cameras at 2 of those for sure. I can't believe I never got a ticket from that.
Well, if you do get a ticket, by the way, going to the emergency room does not count as does not count to get you out of them.
Really?
I actually got a ticket on my way taking my sister-in-law to the emergency room during the pandemic and tried to fight it, and they said no, that should have called 911.
Yeah, well, if they saw my bill from the ambulance the night I did call 911, they would know why I don't call 911. Cost me after insurance, it still cost me over $2,000 to drive 1.25 miles.
Really?
The ambulance taking me from my house to Resurrection.
The Chicago ambulance?
Yeah,
No shit.
yeah, it's $2,000.
I thought it was like
man.
$750.
No, and the last time that early this year, my wife had to go to the ER because she was severely dehydrated because all she drinks is Diet Coke, and again, it was like $2,000 for that.
Wow,
The actual bill was $8,000.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, even me as a middle class guy, and with a pretty decent income and everything, the last time that I was in severe pain, I had to really consider whether or not I wanted to drive myself or call an ambulance, because I'm like, I don't know if I can afford it. I can't get another $2,000 hit. And of course, now I realize that I can just throw it on a credit card and I get the miles. So when I go to England, I'm going to fly business class because I was sick. But whatever, it's still a lot of money.
Ooh, wood.
Kind of would. I mean, I would never do anything with it. It would sit in my yard till it rotted. But I still have the urge to get that wood that just went by. I forgot everything I was going to.
Yeah,
talk
so
about.
we're sitting in the window of this cigar store. I have some topics. Yeah, because we.
If it weren't so unsafe, I think it'd be cool to put the camera outside the window, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had one topic really quick, and that is media. Should we do a freeze for a moment so we can have a break and then go into another segment? Okay. I think we should do that.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. I have a new show that I'm watching, and it's fucking great. And it's called Nobody Wants This on Netflix with Kirsten Bell and I don't know, some other people.
Oh, I just saw an interview. Wait, is she the one from
The Good Place?
Oh, not the one from God.
You can
The Hunger Games.
No, that's a different chick. No, Kirsten Bell is married to Dax Shepard.
Yeah, like I know who.
Yeah,
I barely know who
I
I'm
only know
married
that
to.
for weird reasons, but I know she's a very funny blonde actress, and this show is hilarious, and she's like she runs the reason I first started liking it is because her and her sister do a podcast, and they're basically me and you with tits, all right, and a lot younger and skinnier, but they're in their podcast. They do exactly what we do. Like they start out, they have nothing to talk about. At one point, they sit down at the table, and the girl goes, "I don't have anything to talk about," and I'm like, "Been there."
Yeah.
I know what that's like. But in the show, they get picked up by Spotify, and I was like,
Well, they're famous. I mean, that's the thing.
But all they talk about is sex, So,
Oh.
I mean, if you
Hot girls talking about sex.
Yeah.
We could talk about sex, but I don't think anybody would listen.
Nobody wants to hear what we have to say about sex. Although, if we did talk about elder sex, I mean, what do you mean? That's us.
Yeah. How? At what age do you double your Viagra intake?
Here's how I let Colleen know it's sexy time. I'm like, hey, want to go upstairs and help me throw my back out? Watch what I can do with this cane.
You know what? I have to. Okay, let's talk. You want to talk?
You lost teeth, babe. It's time.
You want to talk about elder sex? Okay. Now you get after you get to a certain age, there is a bedtime ritual, that you have to go to.
Okay.
I mean, I know you have a CPAP mask, same as me.
Right.
Lately,
sexier. There's nothing. Sexier.
Nothing hotter than that CPAP
Look
mask.
at that hose.
But this is one of the hardest things about when you're married, transitioning to being older.
Okay.
Now because of my beard, I have to try to force myself to breathe through my nose. That means wearing a Breathe Right strip now. So when I'm getting ready for bed, and plus now I take melatonin because I had to switch from midnights to days.
Okay.
So there's a lot of little things.
Benadryl's better.
Yeah. Benadryl's better because it cleans out the nose.
Yeah.
But so you have to take. There's a certain steps that I have to take before I go to sleep, and my wife does too. Not quite the same thing, but the fact is that when you get to this age, you have to start planning to be making whoopee. Yeah, intimate. Remember
Horizontal
what was that game show? Hayes used to making whoopee on the Newlywed Game. Anyway, making whoopee. But you have to plan much in advance. There's a lot less spontaneity after a certain point in the night. It's like,
do we have enough pillows?
So yeah, are we having dinner here? Yeah, okay. Then are we going out to go somewhere? No, okay. So we're in the house. We're watching TV. At some point, you have to start getting ready for bed, and then that takes certain steps. And so now you have to adjust. Yeah. Well, how do you do it? How do you?
Well, Dave, when two people like each other,
do you just say, "Hey, you want to fool around tonight?" Which I have tried, but that takes a little of romance around.
I'm much more blunt than that. I'm not gonna.
Everything has been like, "Hey, tomorrow." Let's stay up late.
It's kind of like you and me planning this podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to meet Tuesday too, right? Yeah, Tuesday at 1:30. I'm like, I can't make it. I don't know if I can do it today. My back is killing me. So then it's Friday. Like, I don't know, man. Friday's not working out for me because I don't know this. So, hey, babe, how about tonight? She goes, I got a call tonight, and I don't know, I'm feeling kind of nauseated. And I'm like, all right, maybe tomorrow. It's like, it's the same fucking thing.
Well, the thing is that if you can get to a point where you could say, hey, tomorrow we're gonna have a romantic evening, then
and you put it on the calendar and send an invite.
Well, I don't go that far, but then you can have the romance leading up to it without having to go, hey, should I take my melatonin or not?
And I don't think I do romance anymore.
And that's just okay. For those of you who are out there wondering, what you do is plan for the next day. It's like cooking in a crock pot. It's like it's like cooking in a crock pot. You know how you have to plan dinner
romantic.
8 hours in advance? But if you do it, then the house smells nice all day long while you're getting ready for dinner.
I don't see an analog here.
Really? And then so if you plan, if you tell your wife, listen, tomorrow we're going to have a romantic evening, then the anticipation builds up. The key is you can't fuck up the next day. Because you can start building your wife's mood up the night before, and it works out. It works out pretty well. But if you get into an argument, you're screwed in a bad way. You're not screwed in a bad way. Because
we're going to title the segment "Don't Get Screwed."
That's the that's the key. Is you have to basically spend the next day on your best behavior. Otherwise, you can't get into any arguments. Can't get in there.
Irish and Catholic and a lawyer. I gotta watch my ass all the time.
Wait, there was a reason why we started talking about this, wasn't it?
I have no idea. We could segue into next topic because it's kind of related.
Okay.
So I did blood work the other day because
how is that friggin' related?
I'm getting there. All right. It's a transition, bitch.
That's a hell of a segue. Hey, have a romantic evening. And by the way, it's a blood work done.
Anyway, I've got cancer. They did a testosterone test, and it came back. And my doctor said, well, basically, you're turning into a woman. And I'm like, holy crap, that explains so much about me. I'm like,
wait a minute, you've never taken testosterone before?
Never taken it, never taken the test. Yeah.
Oh, the first few months on testosterone.
Really? Yeah. He was cautious to me. He was like, I don't know if you should take it. Because, like, the obvious reasons people take testosterone, I don't have that problem, right? And I don't need Viagra.
Oh.
And
that's not what, I mean, I guess that might be a side effect of testosterone. Really, it's weight gain, lethargy.
Well, that I do have.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying. They're going to give you the gel?
They haven't even said yet. I still got to go see another guy, But it wasn't even down at the bottom of acceptable. It was like, you're dry, you need to re-up. That's where it was down there. And it explains a lot because, I'm... My wife and I both say all the time, I bet you anything, if she took the test, she's got an excess of testosterone. She took mine, is what happened. And because we always say that she's the dude and I'm the chick in our relationship. Because, like, she has no emotional range, and she watches World War II videos and yells at the news. And, like, I cry all the time, and I like, I'm all into sad music and literature.
Listen, for those of you who are listening to this, you might think that sometimes he's joking. He's not. We've joking. Gone to movies.
Shut up, Dave.
He cries at movies.
I cry in commercials.
He cried at Benjamin Button's.
Okay, everyone cried at Benjamin Button's.
I
didn't. Here's the one that's defining, all right, was Over the Hedge. Right? No, even better, Ice Age 2.
Up. Did you cry at Up?
No, everyone cried at Up. That one doesn't count. Ice Age 2. All right? Ice Age 2, Dave. When that squirrel, like, with the Sylvian commercials, the kid rolls a skateboard in, and he's got his grades on it.
When Olaf started to melt in ice, frozen.
True.
Olaf.
Fuck off.
Olaf.
It's true,
right.
Man.
Anyway,
the voice is what gets me the worst. That's the one I don't understand. I almost decided to go into therapy about that.
The Voice?
My wife watches The Voice all the time. So
that's the one where they wear the big costumes?
No. That's the Who's Mysterious Singer. This is one where people audition for singing, and the judges are facing away from them, and so if they like them, they hit a button and they turn around, right? And so they have nothing. They know nothing about these people except their voice. And when those people most of them have struggled as an artist for years and years, or in case of like 13-year-olds for a month and a half or whatever, they have struggled to be recognized. A lot of them are in their 30s, right? They never made it as a musician, never made it as a singer, and they've tried constantly. And then these people that are famous for this stuff, Reba fucking McEntire, Snoop Dogg, they turn around and they say, "You're amazing. Your voice is incredible. Your control is incredible. And you see these people just crumble because they've never been recognized, and it matters so much to them. And like I choke up, I can't help it. I'm like wiping tears.
I know.
The whole
All
time.
right, this is just going off on a quick tangent, and we'll get back to testosterone. We got to get back to testosterone. But you mentioned Snoop Dogg. I saw an interview. Do you know why his name is Snoop Dogg?
No.
Why would you think his name is Snoop Dogg? Snoop Dogg.
It's got to have something to do with pot, but I can't imagine what.
That's what I thought.
Because look who he is.
Turns out that's not true.
Okay.
Turns out when he was a kid, he really liked Charlie Brown, and his father said, "You're starting to look like Snoopy because you watch it so much." And that's where Snoop Dogg comes from. Which is the most obvious thing, but when you have known or listened to and seen Snoop Dogg for your entire life, was not something that I would have. I mean, I've made that as a joke to my kids over the years.
And it was true.
And it was true.
The weird thing is that now that I'm thinking about it, the only place I've ever seen that word is in Peanuts and Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Where did Snoopy come from?
From Peanuts.
I know, but where did it come from for that dude?
Oh, I don't know. That's a
Where
good
did he
question.
get Snoopy
How
from?
did he become Snoopy as the name of a dog?
What's the weirdest name that you've ever known somebody have that was their actual given name? I know a girl named Sookie, which we've seen on the TV lately, but up until very recently, no one ever heard that before. But I actually knew a girl named Sookie Lane. That's such a weird name.
I always thought
Sookie.
Chester was a weird name, but I don't know.
I knew a guy named Chester too.
I
I
know.
can tell you, aptly named. Yeah, it was like when you think of somebody named Chester, you think of a guy wearing green coveralls and he's really quiet and he looks like he was born in 1894, and that was this guy.
Yeah, I don't know right off the top of my head any weird names, but all right. So getting back to testosterone, so you have to go see the other guy. So you haven't seen the other guy yet, the guy that prescribes the testosterone.
No, I haven't.
All right, that's a rough doctor's appointment.
Why?
Well, they have to check and make sure that you can take testosterone. Okay.
What does that mean? Am I going to get fondled? Oh man, that's the part I hate the most.
I'd say make jokes about it. That's
Listen, one of my most
the first time when I went to get testosterone. It was the first time I went to the doctor and I had to get that, and that was literally the first time I was not old enough yet to get the regular checkup every couple of years. But they had to check the prostate, and I had come straight from work.
What does that mean?
It means he goes, "You're going to have to drive your choice." I go, "All right." I just came straight from work. He's like, "That's fine." And so I took my gun off and I put it on the table in front of me.
That is not what that guy wants to see at that moment.
He's like,
be
whoa,
gentle.
whoa. Let's put that across the room. He made me put it on the table, so I had to shuffle across the room, put the gun on the
Can
table.
you put your pants on?
I held them up, but
God.
and then I had to go back and have that. I remember the first time I had it, I had a female doctor, and she was a
right.
teacher doctor, and she had a
Fourth grade or
no, she had a male intern. She goes, "Listen, guys are sometimes uncomfortable having a woman do this. If you would be more comfortable with my intern doing it, that's fine." And I said, "Are you crazy? I'm going to be uncomfortable no matter who does it. But that guy has hands like a friggin' linebacker. Look at the size of his fingers. Hell no." Guy was sick. He started laughing. He was 6'3" tall. I mean, he must have played football in college.
He's in the wrong business.
Well, it was
right?
this is a family doctor, so this is not something they did. It's not. He's not a proctologist.
Okay.
But yeah, so I had that done, and so yeah, you're in for a treat.
Wait a minute. Why do they have to do the proctology thing?
They have to check your prostate, I guess.
For fuck's sake.
And yeah, so but I tell you the benefit. The first couple of months on testosterone are very nice. And then you get used to it.
What are they?
A lot more energy. I mean, a lot of energy, and in normal life, and also a lot more energy in romantic.
Yeah.
And you'll lose weight a little faster too.
Well, one of the things that's been bothering me lately is that I'm losing muscle mass.
Yeah, you gotta take a walk every once in a while.
Man, I've just, since the pandemic, I've just declined into, like, I don't do anything. I just sit in my chair. There was a little bit there before we went to Egypt where I was walking, like, in the woods and stuff. But now that I've lost a lot of weight, you'd think I'd be out there doing more stuff, and it's the opposite, man. I'm either in my chair in my office or in a chair in front of the TV.
You gotta force yourself to do. I mean, you live right by the forest preserve. But you gotta walk to the end of the block and back, and then
So
a
far.
little farther.
That's a whole block.
I'm saying you start off that.
It's most of a block. It's not even the whole block. I'm like in the middle, so it's like half a block, but it's still too far, man.
But
I did
yeah.
start taking public transportation to do things for two reasons. One, we should take advantage of the public transportation we have in Chicago as a philosophical and political thing, because we should have more public transportation. And so the more people that use it, the more likely they are to go, hey, let's grow this line, whatever. Also, parking is super expensive downtown. So when I go downtown, I've learned to get on the Blue Line or on the Metro. And the Metro, like, practically stops in my living room.
Yeah.
All right? And so I have to walk because of that. You know, I get out of the train, I walk to wherever I'm going and stuff. But I just, man, I think it's why I think it's when my back is messed up, because I don't do anything, you know?
You should walk down to the park at the end of your block and walk around by the school over there.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, you should wear your gray sweatsuit while you maybe hand out candy.
Why are you always so weird about
my brother-in-law.
colors matching?
My brother-in-law. I asked him.
I do like I'm in prison.
The other day, I asked my brother-in-law. I said, "Hey, you mind coming over and helping me out at my father-in-law's house?" He's like, "Helping you do what?" And I go, "What? You can't just spare some time?" He goes, "Whoa, I have to see the candy before I get in the van." And I'm like, I started laughing. I go, "That is beautiful." That should be the title. That'll be the title of this. I have to see the candy before I get in the van.
Here's the candy, get in the van. Yeah, I like it. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, my doctor was like, I don't often prescribe this because of all these following problems. It's like your blood gets thick and other weird shit happens. And I'm like, and I heard somebody else say like it can increase anger and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that is something I don't need, man. I'm already pissed off all the time. But you know, the truth is, I don't have a lot of energy. You know?
Yeah, it doesn't. It does. I mean, it does. It can increase anger, but not. It's not like roid rage. It's like you can get more easily annoyed, but it also doesn't last. It doesn't like you get used to it. You get used to you get used to the medicine, and everything levels out. And
But in the long run, you still have more energy.
you're still higher. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe that'll help me motivate my ass to get to the gym. I just bought time with a personal trainer. 6 half-hour sessions. So I figured because I paid for it, I'm gonna go, right? So I was supposed to go yesterday. The guy texts me and goes, I had a problem with my kids at school. I can't do it today. I gotta go. I'm like, motherfucker. Like even then, like there's problems with it. So.
All right. Well, actually, we're going along pretty good. So let's end with some political talk.
Oh, good. I should have worn my Kamala hat.
Because it's a month away from the election, and I'm actually interested. Now, we haven't actually talked about this very much.
We rarely talk about politics because our politics are polar opposites.
Yeah, but I wanted to do this every few weeks. Is like
right, he's wrong.
Here we are.
That's the way we are.
We're a month out, and like all the polls are dead even. Everything's dead even. Yeah. So I was wondering, what percentage odds would you give? You want Harris to win? What percentage odds do you give her of actually winning?
Well, I think it's I think because of the Electoral College, that's the part that's worrying. You know,
It's all going to come down. I agree. It's all going to come down to battleground states.
Yeah, I think that that she'll certainly win the popular vote. I really believe that, and I think part of that is because of people under 30. I think and House and women of all ages.
All right, but when I say percentage odds that she'll actually become president, what do you?
I think it's about 55 to 45 right now in her favor.
Yeah, well,
Maybe that's not conservative enough in terms of actual math, but I'm throwing in a little hope right there. You know,
I probably would. I was going to say I would have probably been 53-47 the other way. Trump would, but still, we're. I mean, I think we started off. We started off talking about this. Well, when Biden was still running, and I know you thought there was no way Trump could win. I mean, you were like 80% Trump's going to lose,
yeah.
and then I think you were pretty close to that when.
Okay, we have to stop everything. I'm sorry you didn't see that. But a truck just drove by.
I didn't see
and
it.
on the sign it said "Hardwood Floors" by Dracula. I'm not kidding you. It really did say that. I'm sorry for interrupting your politics.
My wife works with a lady
ADHD.
who's she named her kids Vlad and Radu.
Get the fuck out.
And like when I knew about Vlad. Vlad worked with my wife,
Those
so my
kids
wife
should
would
go to school wearing nothing but black and red.
You have to understand this. When she told me his brother's name was Radu, I started laughing. I'm like, I gotta meet their mother, because Vlad and Radu are Dracula and his brother. They was their actual names.
Yeah.
And
She's got to be a goth princess.
she was the nicest old lady. You would never have expected it. They're Romanian.
Did she do that for that reason?
Yeah, she did. Wow. They were Romanian or something like that.
Romanians are crazy.
And she looked like this little old lady. And I met her at a company event that my wife brought me to, and she goes, "Oh, this is Vlad's mother." And I'm like, "Really?" I said,
like knitting,
I thought it looked like they had a type. Yeah. And I go, I thought it was hilarious that you named your kids Vlad and Radu. And she started laughing. She goes, hardly anybody gets it.
Oh, wow. Wow. Imagine that. Imagine being a parent who named your kids like that just for that and waiting for so long for someone to do it. Okay, back to politics.
All right. So anyway. But I do think I heard.
What does that mean?
I just bumped into the cord.
Fucking hell! Come on.
It's going okay.
So here's the thing that since you stopped talking, I'm going to talk now.
All right.
The thing that for me, from my side, is giving me a little bit of hope. All right. First of all, is her speeches and everything are like rock shows. Like they're just sold out. People standing in line at like 3 a.m. to get in. It's crazy, and so I think there's something in that, especially when it happens in like Savannah, Georgia.
I think that's kind of died down a little bit the last couple of weeks.
I don't know.
For both of them, I think the vibes. I think the vibes campaign has kind of
I think
run its
they're
course.
shifting into something else, but maybe the thing is that there are some things that are happening I've never seen happen before, and one of them is that I'm active. Like I'm about to mail postcards to battleground states. I've never done that before. I've never given this shit enough before like that, and I think a lot of people, because I belong to that organization now, postcards for votes or something like that. I think that I see the chatter in there, and a lot of people are saying I've never done this before, and so I think there are a lot of people like being active, and that's a new category. And the thing is, the postcards I'm sending, there's nothing about them, not anything about them is party affiliated. Nothing. All they say is, "Hey, the vote's coming up. Please tell your family to vote. Please get out and vote yourself."
Well,
no Democratic stuff. There's nothing on it. You would not know which party it came from.
Well, I tell you, I am. One of the reasons I wanted to bring up today is because I've been watching this show, which I think you'd be really interested in on YouTube, called Two Way. Well, the channel is called Two Way.
Three-way, but
it's the number 2 WAY, and it's Mark Halperin. Mark Halperin, you know Mark Halperin, the reporter.
Oh yeah, no. I don't. You're like my wife. It's like you have baseball cards of reporters.
Yeah, no. Well, Mark Halperin is a really good reporter. Yeah, and he started this YouTube channel where he has different shows, and he's on 2 of them. He's on Morning Meeting every morning, and now he started one called Two Way Tonight. and his
things to say to your wife after testosterone.
But his thing is that he wanted to start a down the center discussion like we do, where people who disagree can have serious discussions where you really take other people's viewpoints into account, and it doesn't descend into like most political discussions these days, into just belittling people and calling names and stuff like that and being a jagoff.
Being a conservative, how are you able to keep up with that intellectually?
Anyway, so I've been watching this show, and yesterday he had this guy on that it was interesting. It was like something I never thought of before, but he does. They're really in the data. Sometimes they have these
data matters.
Yeah, and this guy on talking about voter registration, and he was talking about states in which voters register by party, which of the 7 battleground states, I think 4 of them register by party. And he was going over, since they passed the law to register by party, and basically showing that a lot of things are moving towards Trump in these battleground states. And he was showing statistics going back to, in some cases, to the 1990s, where depending on the way people, you can see how the vote moved depending on how people registered. And so it was really interesting after a while, because it took me a little while to really understand what the hell he was talking about, because these numbers people are strange. Yeah, I mean, it's
weirdo nerds.
I think they're beyond even nerds sometimes, but it was interesting. One of the things that it drives me nuts about this election, that it's nice to hear journalists talking about, is the media has been so bad that it's just, even Democrats are saying this is a little nuts. But
it has been strange to watch CNN do some odd things, and occasionally look at Fox News and go, nice work.
Yeah.
That has been an unusual experience for me. I've looked at CNN and I said, that was boneheaded. And then I turn and look at Fox, I'm like, that's how it should be done. I'm like, what is happening to my life?
Yeah. CBS was, have you heard, this is getting off of politics. Well, maybe.
Journalism is politics.
Yeah. Shouldn't be, but it is.
No, it should be. That's its whole fucking point.
Well,
okay. No, we're stopping right now. The purpose of journalism, the reason journalism exists is, to put it in a metaphorical way, to be a thorn in the side of the powerful. The point of journalism is to hold the people that are in power to
hold their feet to the fire.
Not even that. To hold them to the ideals of which they were elected to uphold. That's the whole point of journalism. Is to monitor them. That's the point of it. It is nothing but political.
I would agree with the.
I'm not saying that it's a
political reporting thing.
I'm not saying,
but I also don't think that they're doing that. And
they are in some places, and they are in some places they're not.
But have you heard about this CBS interview?
You and everyone else should know that I never pay attention. Even when my wife makes me watch YouTube videos of politics, I'm mostly scrolling on my phone.
Oh.
I checked out a long time ago.
Well, there's a guy I've never heard of before, because I don't watch like CBS morning news, but
nobody does.
His name is Dokapil. I think it's Dokapil, something like that. He did an interview with Ta-Nehisi Coates about his new book.
Oh, Ta-Nehisi Coates is a good writer.
Well, yeah, but and apparently they know each other, because the reporter was like, your talent level and your writing. He goes, I was pretty surprised. One of the questions that he alluded to was that the book he wrote was basically anti-Semitic. It was about Palestine, but it really was bad for Jews. Basically, it was a one-sided book. And he did an interview, and he asked them pointed questions about this. And it was a civil interview, but it was a tough interview. And Ta-Nehisi Coates did the interview. They shook hands. They walked away. He didn't complain about it. But apparently the CBS News people and the reporters went ballistic and went off on this reporter for asking these questions. And, they called in DEI people, and they were making everybody go through this thing, and they had sort of a Maoist struggle session and made the producer and the reporter break down in tears. They were like going.
I'm not going to go watch it.
Yeah, read up on it. And then what was interesting is after all this, and then the head of Paramount, some woman who owns the actual whole network, said that these news directors went way out over their skis, and the interview was fine, and he did a hell of a job. And then I think this was Monday, Sunday, it was over the week, something like that. It's been a few days. Somebody finally asked Ta-Nehisi Coates what he thought. From what I hear, I didn't actually see it, so I'm going based on the reports. It's like, well, I don't know, it was a tough interview, but not that big a deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we should expect.
Yeah, and but it's like, who the hell are these people going after a reporter for asking normal questions?
I think that I'm very reluctant to admit this. I really don't like that this is true, but I think that unlike when I was in journalism, in like the newspaper, which was 30 odd years ago, things have changed drastically, and I have to finally admit that. And in the newsroom, on the news floor, people are less objective than they used to be, and I think that they have taken sides. And I think that the people that took issue with that reporter, more than likely, were taking issue with them because they felt that politically it made them look like they were supporting the side that they didn't support.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is, and I think that's unfortunate. Some places, I think it's infected everyone all the way up to NPR. NPR used to be something you could depend on to be pretty darn objective, even though a lot of their choices tended to be things that culturally would favor liberals and Democrats.
Right.
That's because they tend to lean towards the liberal arts and sciences, and that tends to be something that liberals and liberals tend to favor in their life, and not that conservatives don't, but fewer conservatives do, and to be really just simplistic about it, a lot of conservatives would prefer football over art class. All right, and and it's like you see high schools and colleges spend billions on their football program, and then their music class and their liberal arts classes just get canceled. And it's an unfortunate thing because those classes are just as important as a football game. They're vital to building a broader understanding of the world, which everybody needs. And what's wrong with a football player knowing more about the humanities? I think that would be a beautiful thing, but it happens all the time. And so I think that's what's happening in the newsrooms.
Well, we've been having this argument about journalism for years, and I remember
I am turning a corner.
And I remember going back and having this argument, and you not seeing it, and I was trying to make the argument that that their bias was displayed in the stories they selected to cover or not cover. More so in the way it was covered. They would just choose not to select these stories. And now that's changed. It's gotten to a point where they will choose to cover these stories, and they will be blatantly not objective. And they even say it. They say your job is not to tell both sides of the story, it's to tell the right side of the story. And the right side based on what we think is the right side.
Yeah, I think that's terrible. And also, a lot of people misunderstand what it means when they say tell both sides of the story. Really what that means is to be objective about the facts that you bring into a story. And so all your quotes can't be from one side. You have to have quotes from opposing parties, no matter what the story is. But it doesn't mean that you have to support both sides or either side. You shouldn't support either side, but journalism has always been biased. There's no way for journalism not to be biased. As much as I used to say, I think I didn't say it correctly. Journalists should try as hard as they can.
You used to say that. You said it correctly.
They should try as hard as they can to be unbiased, but they are human beings.
Right.
And also a newspaper, they don't even count anymore. A broadcast channel is an organization. They do have to have a point of view. They have to have a unified point of view. That's just the way shit works. And the unfortunate thing is they're becoming as tribal as everybody else. And You know, it's people think that it's Democrat versus Republican, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's definitely not that. And I see that in, recently when I was talking to members of my family, whom, as you know, agree furiously with each other. I said that the problem is you guys think that if you give a person who's on the opposing side, a Republican, enough facts, that they'll change their mind. And Republicans think if they give you enough facts, you'll change your mind. And neither one of you is recognizing that it's not about the facts. It's not about a person's level of intelligence. It's always emotional. It's always emotional. That's where it is at the ground floor. Politics is an emotional thing, just very, very much the way advertising is an emotional thing. They're so similar. The way football is an emotional thing. You have your team, and by God, that's your fucking team. People that are from Chicago move to Florida, they don't start liking the Dolphins.
Well, no, I'm starting to maybe move towards Tennessee Titans a little bit, but they're not having a good year yet. So I'll still love Chicago Bears. But all right, so we should end there because we're over an hour. And although I would like to ask, since I won't be here, if you could set up a camera on election night and have your whole family over, just in case Kamala Harris loses, I would love to see the reactions to that.
I can't do that because 2 members of my family are in the legal profession, and it's inappropriate for them to do that. Yeah. Well, they would say that. I think it would be fucking
hilarious.
It would be hilarious. But also, if Kamala loses, I don't want my wife crying to be on.
Do you remember when Hillary lost to Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock did that SNL skit where they were with all their liberal friends and they're going, and they went from we're finally going to have the first women president to when they found out he lost, and Dave Chappelle's making just smart ass comments the whole way. Oh yeah, you have to look at it.
Yeah,
we should play it.
Yeah.
By the way, Maya Rudolph does a fantastic Kamala impression.
Yes, even Kamala likes it. Yeah, you got and Dana Carvey doing Biden. Fucking dead on. All right, we're out of here.
All right.
And can we film a couple of shorts after this?
No.